Picking up where we last left off, we find our trio of heroes heading to the Galar region. It's finally time for Ash's battle against Raihan. If he wins, he'll make it into the Masters 8 and have his chance at facing Leon. The battle will be set in Hammerlock Stadium, and he, Goh, and Chloe are already discussing what they should do in order to beat Galar's strongest gym leader and the world's 8th strongest trainer. We cut to Hammerlock Stadium, where Raihan is training vigorously with his Pokemon. As a sandstorm whips around him, he snaps a selfie, which only shows the storm in progress. He looks at the photo, thinking about why he started taking them in the first place. However, his train of thought is derailed when he gets a call from Sonia. He turns on his usual charm while answering, finding she's on her way to the stadium in order to watch the battle. She also mentions Leon was supposed to show up to watch as well. The Galar champion seemed pretty excited by the fact that Ash had made it up to the point where he could challenge Raihan. So Sonia knew she had to go see it for herself, how this battle was going to go. As the sandstorm dissipates around him, Raihan simply tells her that Ash's World Championships campaign ends here. He's not going to let some kid beat him up. With that, he hangs up, before turning to his Pokemon and telling them it's back to training. He snaps another photo, depicting his more serious expression, before focusing on his training. Cutting back to Ash and the gang, we see them on their way over to the gym. On the way there, they meet up with Sonia. Seeing how she's been doing, Sonia tells them that she's actually run into a bit of a wall with her research of Galar's history. She had done research on a painting in Circhester, however her attention was drawn away by someone from Macrocosmos talking about some rumors from Freezington in the Crown Tundra. Apparently there's a legend in Freezington about the King of Bountiful Harvest, but neither of them believed it was true. So she decided she'd go to the Crown Tundra after the battle. Goh, of course, finds this fascinating and wants to learn more for himself. However, before anything more can be discussed, they meet Raihan in front of Hammerlock Stadium. The conversation immediately shifts, with the expression from the two competitors over their determination to win. Ash declares he'll beat Raihan and get the chance to battle Leon again. And that's when they hear a rustling from the bush. Turns out, Galar and World Champion himself was actually asleep in the bush. The champion explains that he wanted to get here early in order to see the battle, and he ended up dozing off while waiting. Raihan sighs, saying he could have just come inside the stadium. With that, however, they all go inside to take their places for the battle. Once inside, Ash is taken to a room where he's allowed to prepare before they call him out to the stadium. As he tries to strategize, he hears the cheers from outside. It makes him excited for the battle. Part of him feels nervous, but he's able to push past that while getting ready for the battle to begin. Soon, he's called out onto the battlefield, being met with a crowd-filled stadium, the Rotom drone recording the battle, and the announcer exclaiming his rank, name, and region of origin. Raihan is already out on the battlefield, ready to take Ash on. As Ash takes his place, the announcer states that for this Masters 8 promotion match, as Raihan is the defender of the title, he will be the one to decide the rules for the battle. Raihan smirks, before declaring they will battle using the rules of the Hammerlock Stadium. It will be a double battle, where they can use a total of 4 Pokemon at a time. Ash accepts these terms, getting ready to begin. The battle begins, and Raihan starts off in a surprising manner. Despite being the Dragon-type specialist of Galar, he sends out Flygon and Gigalith. In the stands, Goh points out that Gigalith isn't a Dragon-type Pokemon, and asks why Raihan would be using it. This is when Sonia explains that while Raihan's gym is focused around dragons, his battle style revolves around the weather, and utilizing it against his opponents. Because of this, Raihan has many Pokemon, all depending on which weather he feels like using. He also embodies a saying first started by Lance: "Not all dragons are dragon type," a saying which Chloe and Goh agreed doesn't make much sense to them. In order to combat these two Pokemon, Ash sends out Tyranitar and Torkoal. Immediately, a sandstorm forms, as both Tyranitar and Gigalith have the Sand Stream ability. As soon as Ash's Torkoal sees its opponents, it begins to cry out of fear, causing Raihan to laugh. He asks what a crybaby like Torkoal is going to do, to which Ash responds by saying that he and Torkoal have been through a lot, and to just watch. With that, he calls for Torkoal to use Iron Defense, while Tyranitar sets up Stealth Rock. Gigalith also sets up Stealth Rock against Ash, while Flygon flies in with an Outrage. Ash calls for Tyranitar to get in front of Torkoal. The two Pokemon clash, and Tyranitar manages to push back Flygon with an Ice Beam. Gigalith fires over multiple Rock Blasts, but Tyranitar is able to destroy them with its tail. Meanwhile, Torkoal is still building up its defenses using Iron Defense. Gigalith and Flygon decide to double up on Tyranitar, beating down on the pseudo-legend with everything they have. However, with Ice Beam, Crunch, and Fire Blast, Tyranitar is able to push back against both, until it falls down onto one knee in exhaustion. Ash thanks Tyranitar for hanging in there, before calling for Torkoal to use Heat Wave on the Sandstorm. This catches everyone in the stadium off guard, even Leon, who's watching from the announcer's box. Torkoal uses Heat Wave, pushing the Sandstorm away from Ash's side of the field. It swirls around, forming a cyclone of sand and flame around Raihan's side of the field. Raihan calls for Flygon to fly out of there, but once it touches the cyclone, it ends up getting burned. Ash shouts that this was a strategy he used on Brandon of the Battle Frontier, and figured Torkoal could come in handy with it once again. He then calls for Tyranitar to throw Torkoal into the air. Tyranitar does so, allowing Torkoal to fly into the sandstorm. Raihan orders Flygon to counterattack with Outrage. But just then, Tyranitar breaks through the cyclone, ignoring the pain of the burn and firing off a Fire Blast to push Flygon away. With that, Ash calls for Torkoal to use a new move, Body Press. Flying down onto Gigalith, Torkoal crushes the rock Pokemon into the ground of the battlefield. The compressed Pokemon is knocked out of the battle. However, Raihan decides to attempt to get revenge by calling for Flygon to use Stone Edge. Flygon strikes, the stone's heading straight for Torkoal, but Tyranitar gets in the way once again, being launched outside of the cyclone, which disperses. Flygon then follows up with a powerful Earthquake. While Torkoal manages to take the hit, Tyranitar unfortunately has taken too much damage, and faints, firing off one last Ice Beam, which clips Flygon's wing. Ash thanks Tyranitar, returning it to its Pokeball. Raihan also calls back Gigalith, and the two both call out their next Pokemon. While Raihan brings out his Sandaconda, Ash brings out another old Pokemon of his, Noivern. Immediately, Ash has Torkoal go in for another Body Press. However, when it strikes Sandaconda, who is in the middle of using Coil, the ground snake spits out a bunch of sand, forming another sandstorm. Then, Flygon and Sandaconda both strike Torkoal at once, combining powerful earthquakes together, which, while Sandaconda gets damaged, results in Torkoal taking a heavy amount. The sandstorm also beats down on Ash's two Pokemon. Raihan then orders Flygon to hide in the sandstorm. Flygon disappears, before it begins to beat down on Torkoal over and over again. The crowd wonders if Ash will lose another team member, but the 10-year-old just smiles. He then calls for Noivern to use Supersonic, which manages to land against Flygon, messing up its next Stone Edge. Raihan calls for Sandaconda to use Rest, while trying to get Flygon to snap out of it. However, with a few Dragon Claws from Noivern, Flygon is taken out. Raihan groans, before mentioning Ash's strategy of using Noivern's echolocation to find Flygon. He's about to call out Duraludon when he clenches its Pokeball tightly in rage. We flash back to a battle between Leon and Raihan. Raihan is beaten by the champion, who thanks him for the battle before leaving. It cuts to him inside the locker rooms, where he punches a hole in the wall out of his frustration. He then looks at himself in the mirror, before taking his first selfie. Cutting back to the battle, he admits he didn't expect Ash to rise up in the ranks of the World Championships so quickly. But it doesn't matter. He's not going to lose to someone who just wants to battle Leon. With that, Raihan sends out his ace, Duraludon. He immediately calls for one of Duraludon's strongest moves, Steel Beam, striking Noivern critically before Sandaconda wakes up and is able to hit both Pokemon with Rock Slide. Ash tries to have Torkoal use Overheat, but unfortunately, Torkoal is flinched by the Rock Slide attack. Duraludon then strikes Torkoal with Body Press. Ash calls for Noivern to use Boom Burst, but after the attack, Sandaconda uses Rock Slide once again, while Duraludon strikes it with a Thunderbolt. Everyone is astonished by Raihan's resolve as something seems to have awoken within him, resulting in him pressuring Ash's Pokemon with attack after attack. In the end, Torkoal is taken down, despite its high defenses. Moments later, as Noivern attempts to attack Duraludon with Acrobatics, Duraludon takes out Noivern by slamming down with Body Press, before striking with a point-blank Thunderbolt. Ash is now down to his final Pokemon, Swampert. As soon as Swampert is out on the field, Raihan scoffs, mentioning how both Swampert and Ash's resolve is basically the same. Raising an eyebrow, Ash asks what he means, to which Raihan asks Ash why he wants to battle Leon. To him, battling Leon needs to be supported by the desire to defeat him, something he has in spades. He then calls for Sandaconda to use Earthquake. Ash and Swampert look at each other, and Ash admits that Raihan might be right. He can't just want to battle Leon. He already got that, and he lost. However, it's because of his loss before that he wants to beat Leon. Not just Leon, though, but the others of the Masters 8. He wants to battle them all, and make his way to beat Leon himself. But there's someone specifically Swampert wants to beat too. Ash pulls out Swampert's Pokeball, calling it back into it, as it's time to get huge. So, Ash Dynamaxes his Swampert. In the stands, Chloe and Goh are shocked, as they didn't think Swampert would Dynamax. It refused Mega Evolution for the time being, so they figured it wouldn't want to do anything of the sort. However, Sonia suggests that Swampert must know it needs to use whatever it can in combat against Raihan's Pokemon. It might not want to Mega Evolve, but since it's fought Gigantamax Duraludon before, it might have wanted to give Dynamax a shot in this fight. Raihan's pretty impressed, seeing Swampert and admitting that the Mudfish seems far more serious than the last time they fought. However, he's not going to simply give Ash the win. Not when he currently has the lead. With that, he calls for Sandaconda to use Rock Slide. Ash has a way around this, though, telling Swampert to swing its tail and knock the rocks away. Sure enough, Swampert is able to act just fast enough, despite the size change, to swat the rocks away. It then fires off a powerful Max Geyser, which clears away the sandstorm, replacing it with rain. It strikes Sandaconda hard as well, blowing it away due to the powerful water attack. Ash knows he can't let up here though, calling for Max Knuckle. The fighting type attack strikes Sandaconda as well, finishing it off while raising Swampert's physical attack. It's now one-on-one, and Raihan has no other choice. Using his own Dynamax band, he Gigantamaxes Duraludon, calling for Max Steel Spike. Ash calls for Swampert to stop the spikes from striking, so the Mudfish rears up onto its legs before using its arms to push against the attack. However, Raihan was expecting Ash to try and counter this, calling out for their signature move, G-Max Depletion. The attack lands, dealing a lot of damage against Swampert, as the swirling energy traps the massive Mudfish within. Once it dissipates, Swampert slumps over a bit. Ash asks if it can continue, to which Swampert nods, getting back up. Knowing he only has one move left, Ash calls for a Max Quake, dealing quite a bit of damage, as well as boosting Swampert's special defense. Unfortunately, now Swampert reverts from its Dynamax state, which Raihan believes he can use to his advantage. Immediately, he calls for another G-Max depletion, exclaiming that this will end things. However, Ash says he shouldn't be too sure of that. There's one last thing that Swampert has. 2 moves Swampert had learned, as if it was to prepare for something like this. With that, Ash calls for a Mirror Coat. Just as the G-Max move is about to strike Swampert, the Mudfish is enveloped in a reflective energy, and takes the attack head-on. Raihan tells Ash that it won't work, and it becomes too clear that he's underestimated Swampert's abilities. As with Ash by its side, encouraging Swampert all the way, Swampert manages to redirect the powerful attack back at Duraludon. Raihan calls out to his ace Pokemon, telling it to hang in there, but the doubled power of its own attack is far too much for the Gigantamax Pokemon. In an explosion of draconic energy, Duraludon is sent back into its base form. The sandstorm disappears, and the battle is called in Ash's favor. Cheers fill the stadium as Ash and Swampert celebrate. Swampert had finally managed to get its revenge against Raihan, who admits his defeat. After taking a selfie with Ash and Swampert, Raihan swears to defeat both him and Leon someday. Until then, Ash better not lose. Ash chuckles, that sentiment reminding him of Kiawe back in Alola. With that, Ash has made it into the Masters 8. The season is coming to a close, but it's possible that Ash could lose his title as 8th strongest trainer in the world before then. He'll have to keep on his toes. And we'll be informed if he has another battle before the season moves on to the Masters 8 tournament. With the battle being over, Ash meets back up with the others. It'll be a while before Ash finds out when he's going to be battling again, so the group can do whatever they feel like in the meantime. This is when Goh asks if they can accompany Sonia to the Crown Tundra. Sonia says that sounds like a great idea, as she could use as much help as she can get in researching the King of Bountiful Harvests. Before they leave, Leon walks out, congratulating Ash on getting into the Masters 8. He hopes Ash can keep that ranking so that the two of them can battle in the Masters 8 tournament. The group asks Leon what he plans on doing, to which Leon says he intends to drive down to the beach to do some training with his Pokemon. After that battle, he's more fired up than ever to do some battling, and will need to be in top shape for his next fight. However, he does seem off when saying that, which Sonia picks up on, but doesn't say a word. So with that, they part ways, with our heroes boarding a train that takes them to Wedgehurst. There, they transfer onto a second train in order to head into the Crown Tundra. Upon their arrival, the group heads down from the train station, through the snowy wilderness until they make it to a village by the name of Freezington. The main lead Sonia had for this rumor was due to a statue in the center of the town, which, sure enough, they were able to find. The wooden statue depicted what seemed to be a man with a weird-shaped face, riding on top of a steed. It didn't seem too out of the ordinary. That was until Chloe pointed out that this so-called king didn't have a crown. This is when the mayor appears, who noticed their interest in the King of Bountiful Harvests. They ask about the crown, but the mayor is unsure. He knows that it once had a massive crown on it. They even had that design on their new line of sweaters. But the statue's crown must have been stolen, or maybe blown away by a harsh wind. However, if they can somehow find it, he would really appreciate it. In fact, he tells them that if they can find the thing to fix the statue, he'll do what he can to provide more information about what had brought Freezington fame in the first place. The group figure that it probably wasn't stolen, which means it wasn't too far from here. So they split up and search around the village. At first, they don't find anything. Even when asking around the village, no one really knows. However, at one point, Chloe sees something that looks similar to the depiction on the sweater. Chloe goes after it, but the being was no longer there. Instead, she found a lump of wood, crafted into a shape that she figures would go along well with the statue. After getting the help of the others, the four hauled the wood over to the statue, placing it on top. Sonia smiles, saying they better go see the mayor now, but just before they turn away, a strange feeling comes over them. Ash looks over, and sees the being Chloe saw earlier. Curious, the four head behind a building and into a small area in the woods. It's there that they come face to face with it. Goh tries to scan it with the Pokedex, but no data is found. It lets out a cry, confusing everyone apart from Ash. For some strange reason, he feels like he can understand it. At least, slightly. This hasn't been the first time, but it's been a while since this ability has appeared. Ash states that it wants to battle them. The being nods, proving this to be true, so a battle begins. The four combine the forces of Pikachu, Cubone, Bulbasaur, and Yamper. While they're able to do well together, their opponent is just too strong. Wielding grass and psychic-type moves, it manages to take out both Cubone and Bulbasaur. Chloe brings out Ponyta, but just as Goh is about to call out Cinderace, Sobble comes out of its ball. It attempts to attack with Fell Stinger, showing bravery that Goh hasn't seen Sobble ever have before. Still, the being is able to do a lot to the group of four. Just before they're all taken out again, a vehicle resembling a Charizard in design appears, driving through the woods and causing the being to disappear. Getting out of the car is Leon, who looks around confused, asking them where he is. Sonia sighs, telling Leon he'd gotten lost again. Leon chuckles, noting that he was wondering how he'd gotten into a snowy area like this. Still, this would be a fine place to Suddenly, Leon is lifted into the air. His head falls back, hat barely staying on his head. His eyes go completely white, and when he speaks, it's with a voice not his own. The being returns, apologizing for having to use their friend to speak to them, as well as battling them. The battle was merely a test for them, as he saw their interest in them. Sonia asks if the being is the King of Bountiful Harvest. It tells them that its true name is Calyrex, and as for the kingly title, that unfortunately was no longer what it should be deemed as. It had been a long time since it was truly worthy of that title. However, that's what it wants their help with. Calyrex saw their interest in itself, an interest that the Galar region had seemingly lost. With their help, it might be able to get that power back, and aid the people as the King of Bountiful Harvests once more. The group agree to help Calyrex, and decide that the best thing to do would be speak with the mayor. Calyrex agrees to wait, as it does not wish to cause a commotion by its presence. The group is about to turn away, when Sonia suggests that Calyrex allow Leon to join them, as if he keeps the champion of both Galar and the world here, it might draw too much unwanted attention. Calyrex thinks for a moment, and then allows it, releasing Leon, who falls flat on his face. Getting back up, Leon meets Calyrex face to face. He's quickly caught up on the situation before they all head towards the mayor's house. Almost immediately once they walk out into the town, the group is swarmed by the townspeople, having seen their champion arrive. Some of them try to ask for a fun battle, to which Leon declines. However, this time is slightly different. He says his usual speech of telling them to get stronger, and make their way up to battling him in either the Galar League or the World Championships. However, Sonia notices that his heart doesn't seem nearly as in it as when he's said it before. She wants to say something about it, but doesn't yet, as they need to help Calyrex. So after they manage to get away from the crowd, the group goes into the mayor's house. Through talking to the mayor and reading some books about the King of Bountiful Harvests, they learn more about Calyrex. The legends told in those books state that it was a mighty being, known for riding on the back of a steed. Some believed it was an icy steed, while others believed it was one of spirit. While there's not too much that would actually help them understand what they need to do, one of the books tells of how it was believed Calyrex would feed its steed special carrots, grown either in the falling snow, or where spirits lay to rest. With that, they decide to go back to Calyrex. Upon meeting up with Calyrex again, Leon is once again taken over. When they first say they can get its power back, Calyrex is skeptical, believing it lost its power due to no one remembering it existed. However, the group brings up Calyrex's steed. If they can just grow a carrot and use it to get the steed back to Calyrex, then it would probably be alright. Calyrex agrees, stating that it recalls having 2 steeds, either of which could help him regain his powers. Now they just needed to get some carrots. Looking back to the area of Freezington, they see a man near the statue. He's checking the soil nearby, which gives Sonia the idea that he might know what to do. All apart from Calyrex and Leon go over to the guy, who they find is disappointed due to the fact the crops won't grow. Goh mentions that a lot of vegetables won't grow in cold areas like the Crown Tundra, when the guy reveals that he's a carrot farmer. Carrots have been a great source of income for Freezington, but things haven't been growing for decades now. Chloe asks why he doesn't just move somewhere better, but the man says that Freezington's been his home since he was little. Abandoning his home would feel wrong. The group nods, before realizing what he said he was farming. They ask him if they could have some to try and grow carrots themselves. The guy is confused, but allows them to have some carrot seeds that he had spare, which Sonia compensates him for, so he's not just giving them away. The group immediately rushes back to Calyrex, showing off the carrot seeds that they could use. It's not much, but it'll have to do. They just need to decide on where they should go in order to grow these carrots into something that can lure Calyrex's steeds in. They ask Calyrex if it knows anywhere they could grow these. Calyrex tries to use some of its psychic powers in order to find a location. However, the need for this power releases Leon of Calyrex's control, meaning that when Calyrex finally finds a place, it can't easily communicate this through Leon. The others try to understand it. Ash is able to mostly understand Calyrex, which is still impressive to the others, but he can't get the specifics down. As for Leon, he can't quite explain it. Maybe it's because he's been linked with Calyrex, but he feels like he can understand it perfectly. Leon decides on a location that he believes is closer to them, and they immediately set out. Unfortunately, due to his lack of any sense of direction, they end up going the wrong way, finding themselves heading up a mountain. Sonia is about to get on to Leon when he realizes that the other area is actually nearby. He leads them over to it, and sure enough, there's a nice patch of tilled soil that they plant the seeds in. At first they believe it'll be a problem to grow the seeds into carrots. However, everyone is still determined. Goh and Chloe take out Sobble and Oshawott, using water gun to dampen the soil. Ash then calls out Thwacky, whose grassy surge helps boost the terrain, while also invigorating Calyrex a bit. With Calyrex feeling more like itself in the grassy terrain, it attempts to utilize some of its power in order to speed up the process. It does a dance that results in some mixed expressions between the group. However, one carrot does manage to grow. It's a bittersweet moment for Calyrex, as it was able to do something with what power it had left, but it's also unhappy due to the fact that it could only make one. Calyrex's expression seems to be somewhat shared with Leon as well, which Sonia can tell is feeling similar. She gives him a knowing look, but he doesn't acknowledge it. Instead, choosing to once again put on a smile similar to how he normally does. Still, Sonia knows Leon better than any of the others, and won't believe something like this. Chloe and Goh are both curious if this carrot will actually be enough to work, but their attention is suddenly drawn. In the distance, they hear a neighing sound. Then coming up the mountain is a strange white horse, with icy features all over its body. Charging straight towards them, the equine creature is met by Calyrex, who tries to give it a warm welcome. However, it knocks the king Pokemon to the ground with Stomp. Immediately, Ash and Goh call out Darmanitan and Cinderace, attempting to keep the situation from getting out of hand. However, the wild horse Pokemon bucks and battles, making it very difficult for Calyrex to even get close in order to calm it down. Off to the side stands Leon, trying to act as a shield for Chloe and Sonia. He reaches back to grab a Pokeball, but for some reason, he stops himself. Once again, cracks show through his facade, as he doesn't seem up to battling once again. This time, Chloe also notices this. She looks to Sonia, unsure of what to do. This is when Sonia finally decides to speak up. She asks Leon why he isn't jumping in. This seems to snap Leon out of it at first. However, he chooses to send out Dragapult, rather than something strong against the ice type, like Charizard. While Dragapult is able to put in some good work, combining Will-O-Wisp with Hex in order to weaken the attack power of it, as well as hit it much harder. However, the Icy Steed still ends up beating all three. It gives one final look at Calyrex, who doesn't even try to fight it, before picking up the Ice Root Carrot and racing up the mountain. Ash and Goh are both disappointed that they weren't able to get it to stay with Calyrex. Strangely enough, though, Leon looks almost indifferent, as if this was the outcome he was expecting. Goh asks if there's anything they can do. Ash, being as optimistic as ever, says they'll just have to try again. Or maybe there's something else they could figure out and manage to reunite Calyrex with his steed. Despite this, Calyrex leaves, the legendary looking dejected. Ash Goh and Chloe are each slightly confused by this. But Leon gets a feeling like he knows why. He explains that Calyrex probably doesn't have the strength to make another Ice Root carrot. This was probably the only chance they were going to get it, to try and get its steed back. Still, Ash disagrees that this is the end. He doesn't think that Calyrex should just give up due to not seeing the results he wanted. Goh and Chloe both agree with this, with Chloe even repeating what she had learned from Serena. This strikes a chord with Leon, and Sonia even asks him if any of that sounds familiar. He looks back at his longtime friend, and gives a smile that finally feels like he's starting to get back to being his old self again. With that, Leon takes off after Calyrex. The trio are just confused even more by this, as they aren't sure what's gotten into Leon. Sonia tells them that Leon's probably felt similar to Calyrex. She can't be certain of it, but knowing him, he might have hit a roadblock that he couldn't get past. Goh asks if that's even possible, since Leon's the unbeatable champion, to which Sonia chuckles. It's then Ash, Goh, and Chloe learn the truth. Leon's not actually unbeatable. Sonia even mentions that she beat Leon in their first battle against each other way back when they first started out. While his official battle record does make it seem like Leon's unbeatable, he's actually lost countless times, especially when training under Mustard. Chloe brings up the fact that Leon's the strongest in the world, to which Sonia says that she's not demeaning Leon's wins by mentioning that he's not unbeatable, but even with the trainers he's managed to beat as of late, and the status of world's strongest, Leon's only human. Leon finally finds Calyrex, who is staring at the horizon, and the crown tundra sprawled out below. He calls out to Calyrex, but the once great King of Bountiful Harvest tells him to leave. Leon doesn't budge though, walking closer to Calyrex. The King Pokemon sighs, asking him what he wants, to which the world champion says they can't give up yet. They have to keep trying. Calyrex disagrees, saying that it doesn't have the power to try again. It's only getting weaker by the second. Even if they could do anything, it has no idea as to what. Leon notes that Calyrex has hit a wall, before admitting he's felt the same. Calyrex asks what he means, so Leon explains how he'd become the #1 trainer in the world. He'd faced his greatest opponents yet, and managed to get to the top. Now that he was here, he found himself struggling to improve. He felt like he had peaked, and even though some trainers around him were pretty close to his level in terms of strength and strategy, he wasn't gaining anything from those fights. He had plateaued, and that felt worse than losing. Calyrex asks why Leon has kept going, to which Leon admits he didn't really want to. However, he doesn't feel like he has much of a choice. Chairman Rose had built up his reputation in Galar as this undefeatable champion, but if anything, that just added on expectations and built the pressure to uphold an image. So many people look up to him, especially his kid brother back home. Galar already took a massive hit whenever his mentor stopped being champion, so if he were to quit after gaining this massive reputation, Galar might lose all interest in what is the lifeblood of the region. Calyrex can't help but agree. It hadn't thought about it, but a king must always bear a heavy crown. It seemed the two were kindred spirits in this regard. So Calyrex asks Leon what he intends to do. Leon shrugs, admitting he doesn't have all the answers. Still, he's learned that he shouldn't let that stop him from trying. There's many trainers out there that could eventually provide him a challenge. one in particular he's keeping an eye on. He'll have to find that drive to battle again. He then turns to Calyrex, telling the legend that they could become stronger together. We cut back to the group, who have managed to locate Leon and Calyrex. When they get there, they see the two bump fists, both with a bit more hope in their eyes. Sonia's glad to see the two in higher spirits, before asking them what the plan is. Unfortunately, Leon and Calyrex don't really have one. Leon admits all he really thought is that they could try hitting it really hard until they eventually rein it in. Rein. Something about that specific word strikes a chord with Calyrex. Then the King Pokemon realizes what they needed. The Reins of Unity. That's what they were missing. Explaining through Leon, Calyrex tells them that the Reins of Unity were a gift from the people who lived in the Crown Tundra long ago. Those reins were the key to reuniting it with the steed. The group asks how they can get it, to which Calyrex attempts to use its powers. Mustering together just enough energy, the King Pokemon creates a radiant petal. Wearily, it explains through Leon that they must take the petal and find someone who can fashion it into the reins. Sonia then remembers the mayor of Freezington. He had a lot of knowledge on Calyrex, so surely he could assist them. So, they take off, flying down the mountain on the back of Leon's Charizard and Sonia's Corviknight. They get to the mayor and ask him to craft the Reins of Unity. The mayor is confused at first, but then he sees the radiant petal. Realizing that this means Calyrex really does still exist, he agrees to help, although he admits that the exact recipe for making it has been lost to time. Still, he continues on, having Goh and Chloe as assistants for making it, while Ash, Sonia, and Leon do what they can to find any scrap of information that could potentially help them. After tireless hours of work and research, the Reins of Unity are made. The group thank the mayor for his help before heading off. Once reunited with Calyrex, they head higher up the mountain. Calyrex leads them to the very top, with suspicion that this is where his steed remains. They find themselves at a large castle building, with a tree growing in the center. Sure enough, sleeping on a bed of hay is the icy steed. Calyrex sneaks in, Reins of Unity in hand. Calyrex attempts to put on the reins, but this sudden movement wakes up the steed, causing it to go on a rampage, bucking around and making it difficult for Calyrex to hang on. Before anyone can react, though, Leon rushes in, aiding Calyrex in getting the steed to stop. The two work together, and despite the fact Leon gets kicked a few times, the Reins of Unity are attached. In a brilliant, glowing light, Calyrex changes. The bud crown on its head begins to grow slightly, and a long, regal cape of fur grows from the king's back. The steed calms down, and the two unite. The group are amazed, being able to witness as Calyrex gets used to its full power completely at its command. Then, the Pokemon speaks. It thanks the group for aiding it in this endeavor. Now, with its full power restored, it can truly be the king of bountiful harvests it was meant to be. However, before the group can leave, Calyrex stares at Leon. He asks if Leon really believes the two can become stronger together. Leon nods confidently, saying he's already been able to help Calyrex become stronger. Calyrex smiles, before telling the world champion to prove that he can become stronger as well. Leon's eyes light up, before he sends out Charizard. The two battle it out, Calyrex showing just how much stronger it is now with its steed by its side. However, despite the clear gap between the two, Leon still finds ways to push through with its number one partner. They clash with all kinds of attacks, Charizard soaring through the air and making this battle a spectacle to behold. The two clash one last time, Fire Blast against Glacial Lance, before the battle is called. Calyrex approaches Leon and tells the champion that he fought valiantly. The two of them could do great things together. Realizing what this might mean, Leon takes out an Ultra Ball, and with a single tap, Calyrex disappears within. Once the ball clicks with confirmation of the capture, Leon thanks the King of Bountiful Harvests, and assures it that he'll do everything in his power to help Galar thrive as a region. The others watching are astounded by what they just witnessed, with Sonia giving Leon a smile. Glad to see him starting to feel more like himself again. Leon turns to Ash, saying that he'll be waiting for him on the battlefield of the World Championships. It won't be long before the Masters 8 clash, so Ash better not lose his spot among their ranks until then. Ash nods, saying he'll be sure to see Leon in the finals. With a smile, Leon tells him that he and Calyrex will be waiting. As the sun sets, the adventure draws to a close. Leon and Sonia decide that they'll head off, as Leon wants to make a press conference so he can introduce the world to his newest partner. Sonia, on the other hand, wants to get her research in what she's learned written down. They both intend to come back here someday as well. After all, there is another steed to find. As for our main trio, they decide to stay in Freezington for the time being. So with that, everyone parts ways. With the help of the mayor, our main trio manages to get a quiet house to themselves to stay the night. As they're about to get settled, though, Go receives a call. It's from Peony and Project Mew. They've actually got big news. The entire group has been researching the Crown Tundra lately, and they've found some very interesting things. Not only has their Titan-related research led them to a discovery in the Crown Tundra, but there were reports of strange sightings of the legendary birds in the area as well. Brandon would be heading up the mission with the Titans. However, the legendary birds returning would be left entirely up to those wanting to become chasers. Go asks why they're specifically calling him about it, to which only Peony can say anything about it. He tells Go that these are the last two missions, and unfortunately, Go isn't even in the top 3 yet. With the time he's spent with Go, he can tell that being a part of Project Mew would mean a lot to him. So we wanted to call and inform Go before it's too late. With that, the call ends. The group are all pretty mixed about this. On the one hand, it's a good thing they're already in the Galar region. On the other hand, this could be it for Go. Project Mew was a major step towards meeting Mew again, as well as just learning about Pokemon as a whole. Go needed to be prepared, so the first step is getting a good night's rest in order to be ready for the mission. Go wakes up early in the morning, going out into the cold before the sun comes up. Then he calls out his team of Pokemon. He tells them that this is it. This will be their final opportunity to join Project Mew. And it would be their rematch with the legendary birds. They can't fail here, or else they'll just be further from reaching Mew. So in order to prepare, he begins to train, having his Pokemon spar against each other, similar to how he's seen Ash train before. He calls out moves and tries to think of different strategies in order to gain an edge when he goes face to face with the birds. One thing that surprises him is Sobble's interest in battling. Normally the little lizard Pokemon would shy away from a fight, and yet he was the most determined out of all of his Pokemon during the training. He stops for a moment, asking Sobble why it's had a change of character, to which he hears someone give a suggestion from behind. It's Ash, who suggests that Sobble might have been inspired by Richie's Inteleon, recalling that Goh did show Sobble the battle. Goh asks the water lizard if this is true, to which the little lizard nods. Goh smiles, before promising Sobble that he'll help it become a strong Inteleon just like Richie's. With Ash now here, Goh continues his training, now having a training partner to aid him. The two train together until the sun comes up. It's then that Goh receives a message. Project Mew has officially announced the new missions that people can attempt, which means Goh needs to get moving. Once Chloe's up, and they've all gotten ready, the trio set out through the Crown Tundra. According to the mission statement, the birds seem to have been spotted near a massive fruit-filled tree. A hiker had even submitted a picture of the tree with what seemed to be 3 birds. However, Chloe points out that the blurred images of the birds seem slightly off to her. The colors just aren't right from what photos she's seen of the birds in her dad's lab. This only makes them more curious, so they try to head over as quickly as they can. Landing on the shores of the small island within Balamer Lake, the trio see the large Dyna tree in the center. Getting closer, they find someone standing near the trunk of the tree, studying it from beneath. This turns out to be Tokyo, who calls over to the group. It turns out that he was already in Galar due to the previous Project Mew mission about following footprints. Unfortunately for him, he was unsuccessful in finding out what created those footprints. However, now he was going to redeem himself with this final mission. That's when they hear a noise. Looking up, they can see a black Pokemon descending down towards the tree. Not wanting to scare it off immediately, the group of 4 quickly hides behind some rocks not too far from the tree. Sure enough, a bird that looks similar to Moltres descends, and begins to eat the fruit on the tree. The group are about to strike, when something comes running by at rapid speeds. It leaps into the air, revealing itself to look similar to Zapdos. However, like the Moltres, this Zapdos has many differences, especially the powerful-looking legs. The 2 birds begin to battle, before a third shows up and joins in. This one looking similar to Articuno. The 4 are unsure of what to do at first, as the birds seem to be battling it out for territory. They could all jump in, however that just might make matters worse. Were they just supposed to wait for the birds to weaken themselves before they can devise a plan? Chloe's Rotom phone flies out, ringing very loudly and catching the attention of the birds. Chloe tries to get the call to shut off, only to accidentally answer it and hear from her father. Of course, Professor Cerise is very worried about her, and he only gets more worried when he hears the angry cries of the birds. Chloe quickly tells him she'll have to call him back, before hanging up. The birds then turn from fighting each other to battling the group, turning this into a somewhat unwanted raid battle. Ash, Goh, and Tokyo are able to hang in there, using Darmanitan, Cinderace, and Shuckle. This actually works out somewhat well, with Tokyo using Power Trip, causing Shuckle's attacks to become much stronger. For a while, it seems the 3 are each able to take on the birds one-on-one, However, Moltres decides to take out the weakest link, using Nasty Plot, before firing an attack in Chloe's direction. The three all immediately change their focus, attempting to get to her before the attack lands. However, the attack is much faster than them. Suddenly, a spinning blur slams into the attack, stopping it just before it can touch Chloe. Leaping down from the back of an Aerodactyl comes Gary Oak, whose Blastoise lands beside him. He jokes about how they started all the fun without him, before joining up with the main group. Despite there now being 4 powerful trainers, the Galar birds put up a fight. All 3 birds are able to single-handedly take on the 4. But that's the thing they're able to realize. The birds aren't fighting together. In fact, after a while, they start fighting each other once again, due to getting in each other's way. It's when Goh realizes what they need to do. Despite not wanting to work with Gary, he admits to the group that the only way they'll win is if they work together. Gary smiles, saying that he finally figured it out. Tokyo nods, agreeing to listen to Goh, but that's what Goh disagrees with. He says he's not the right person to lead this group, and turns over that right to Gary. Gary's slightly taken aback by this, seeing how against it Goh was when they fought Articuno. But he takes it in stride. The group then works together, starting off with Moltres. While the Dark Phoenix is able to take out Darmanitan, Shuckle, and Cinderace, once Goh and Tokyo take up defensive positions with Runerigus and Grottle, Ash and Gary are able to use Aerodactyl and Tyrannosaur in order to weaken Moltres, enough for Gary to capture it. Next up is Articuno, who fights with a lot more cunning, able to take out Aerodactyl, Tyranitar, and Grottle. However, Tokyo evens the odds a bit with a Will-O-Wisp, followed up by a Memento from Runerigus. This weakens the attacking power of Articuno quite a bit, which is taken advantage of by Goh and Tokyo, as they send out Urshifu and Heracross. Despite both being weak to flying-type attacks, Tokyo is able to utilize the power of Knockoff and Stone Edge in order to weaken Articuno enough to capture it for himself. This leaves Zapdos. But the group still has trouble. The weakened states of Goh and Tokyo's Pokemon result in them quickly being taken out. Ash, Gary, and Tokyo bring out Pikachu, Blastoise, and Bayleaf respectively, using the 3 to do as much as they can to Zapdos, with Bayleaf setting up Reflect and Light Screen in order to defend. Goh then brings out Galarian Slowking, fighting back with powerful Eerie Spell and Ice Beam attacks. Still, Zapdos won't give up, singling out Goh specifically in the fight, and striking him hard with multiple quick and powerful attacks. Galarian Zapdos goes in for a thunderous kick, taking Slowking out of the battle. Goes down to only 2 Pokemon, and unfortunately, he isn't sure either will be able to take on a legendary Pokemon. Still, he decides to give it his best, and is about to call out Cubone, when Sobble pops out instead. Goh asks if Sobble's sure it wants to fight, and despite looking intimidated by Zapdos, Sobble nods in agreement. So, the battling continues. The 4 combine the strengths of each of their Pokemon, pushing against Zapdos, but Sobble is struggling to keep up. The power and speed of Galarian Zapdos seems to be too much for it. However, just when Zapdos is about to deliver a thunderous kick to Sobble and take it out, Sobble is enveloped in a bright light. In the blink of an eye, Sobble strikes with the Sucker Punch, before the light fades to reveal it has evolved into Drizzile. Goh is amazed, and so using his newly evolved Drizzile, he and the group do one final push against Zapdos, before he is able to capture it. Just as he picks up the ball containing the legendary Pokemon, a drone flies down, congratulating the group on a job well done. Not only did they capture one of the 3 legendary birds, but they also showed they could work as a team. Peony is especially impressed with how Goh has changed since the last mission. He tells the 3 that they must report to them immediately, telling them to follow the drone in order to reunite with the rest of Project Mew. So despite their exhaustion, the group does just that, following the drone until it arrives at a temple building, colored in dark red and yellow. Multiple trainers can be seen, collapsed onto the ground and completely out of breath. Peony and Pionia both see the group coming their way, telling them that Sakuragi, Asahi, and Brandon are all inside. When they get in, the group witness as the 3 trainers all battle 2 strange-looking Pokemon. Sarugi's Weavile and Asahi's Azumarill put in a lot of work, but still have some difficulty in the face of these 2 Pokemon. Brandon, on the other hand, is able to use Regirock to its fullest, first knocking down the being seen to be made out of electricity and catching it. Once it's out of the way, the 3 are able to target the second one. It tries to fight back, turning into a dragon head shape and firing a blast, but the 3 are all able to take it down, allowing Brandon to capture it as well. Reuniting with the group, the members of Project Mew explain these 2 powerful titans are known as Regieleki and Regidrago. Brandon had thought that some of these chasers could have assisted in the attempt to catch the 2, but as they surely saw outside, none of them were able to do nearly enough, resulting in Sakuragi and Asahi having to step in. They ask how the 3 did with their mission, soon being shocked at the sight of the 3 Galarian legendary birds under their ownership. The trio then hand the legendaries over to Peony, in order for Project Mew to study them. Tokyo then asks why Peony called them there, to which Peony announces that due to the 3's success in showing off teamwork, they were able to pass. As of today, the 3 were officially members of Project Mew. Goh is at a loss for words, which only becomes more difficult to process, with Ash, Chloe, and even Peonia congratulating him. This was a major stepping stone towards him being able to see Mew again, and he couldn't be more grateful. Goh asks what they're supposed to do now, to which Brandon brings them outside. He then sends out all 5 Regis that he has in his command. Regirock, Regice, Registeel, Regieleki, and Regidrago. All 5 in one place. Suddenly, in the distance, they see a red beacon of light shoot up into the sky. Then, the silhouette of a massive Pokemon appears, before it all dissipates. Peony reveals that this is their next goal. With the 5 Regis on hand, they could now awaken Regigigas, who had disappeared from Snowpoint Temple one night, without even Brandon knowing. Sakuragi asks if the 3 are all up to the task, and they all nod. Both he and Asahi smile, surprising the trio. Peony then tells them that it'll be a while before they tackle this mission, as first, he was going to take his daughter to see the Masters 8 battle it out for the title of World Champion. In the meantime, they all needed to make sure they were prepared, before they were to awaken Regigigas. If things went poorly, they were going to have to fight. Goh, Gary, and Tokyo each give each other a confident look, before everyone parts ways. our main trio decide to head back to Freezington, spending the night in their house the mayor let them borrow. In the morning, they begin to get packed, and Chloe decides to call her dad, seeing as he was so worried and called them during the Project Mew mission. So, she gets him on the phone, and the two talk for a while. He mostly tries to make sure she isn't hurt or anything, even after the run-in with the Galar legendary birds. However, he then asks if they had heard anything about a strange unknown Pokemon being spotted in the Crown Tundra. This leads to the events of both the homecoming crown and helping the hometown hero, which apart from this beginning, where they're all in the Crown Tundra, I'm keeping exactly the same. From Lily, Gladion, and Lucamine's reunion with Moan and Nihilego joining the team, to Ash's battle royale with Kiawe, Gladion, and Kukui, to Tapu Koko returning. These episodes cannot be made any better in the slightest. The most I'll do is add a cameo from Ilima, as I'm surprised he didn't show up like Hau and Guzma did. There's also one more thing that I will add though. Or rather, an event. Late that evening, as Ash, Goh, and Chloe are talking with Professor Kukui and Burnett, Ash receives a notification. It's about the Pokemon World Championships. Before the Masters 8 fight for the title of World Champion, Ash is going to have one last battle. A title match, in order to decide whether he'll truly keep the title of 8th strongest in the world, or if he'll be replaced in the Masters 8. He will get to select the venue for the battle, and the rules of the match. His opponent, however, would be none other than Rento. And that's where we'll be leaving things for right now. So what do you guys think? Did you enjoy this Crown Tundra arc? How do you feel about the way Goh, Gary, and Tokyo became members of Project Mew? Do you think there was anything I could have added on to the Sun and Moon epilogue that was the last section of this part? Do you think Ash will beat Rento in their final battle? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!